Hey, so I'm Anant. I'm engineer, and then I'm working in brain stimulation neuroimaging laboratory. And okay, I'll start with imagine there is someone named Paul who had stroke 3 months ago, and he reached the hospital in time, and all the medications were given, and after 3 months, he his one side is paralyzed. So he can't move his hand, he can't lift a glass of water and move it to his lips to drink a glass of water. He can't open his doorknob with his right hand. So he's mostly dependent on other or some help for doing his daily chores. On the other hand, there is someone named Amanda who is suffering from chronic depression, and she has been going to psychiatrist, and psychiatrist has tried 2, 3, 4 different kinds of medications, but she's not responding to them. And now, is there something that we can do so that their life will be better? Whether Paul will be independent, at least for his daily chores, at least for eating and drinking and going to the restroom, or we can make some difference in Amanda's life. So that's what the short answer to that is maybe, yes, maybe there is something beyond medication that we can do, and that's what I'm going to talk about, which is brain stimulation. So I'll go to the basics, which is, this is not mine.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes. So the basic element of brain is neuron, and let's see how neuron communicates. So neuron communicates by generating electric pulse, and that pulse is transferred to next neuron and then next neuron, and that's how you generate a signal. But when from just how this action potential or how this pulse is generated is based on the difference between the potential inside the neuronal cell to the potential outside the neuronal cell. So when at rest, so this is neuronal cell and inside potential compared to outside potential. So let's see how it. So this is representation where this is extracellular portion, this is intracellular portion, and there is a difference between the potential, or there is some electric field between the two. And as this electric because of this sodium ions and potassium ions concentration inside the cell and outside the neuronal cell, there is this potential difference. And as you change this potential, as you move these ions around, there is change in the voltage or electric potential, and once it reaches a certain threshold, the pulse is generated and it is transferred to the next neuron. But at the same time, this potential which was generated is lost and neuron comes back to the resting state. Somewhat similar to a simple representation of bucket filling. So we are trying to fill in positive ions so that we get this to a threshold and it gives the signal away, and then we are back at the resting state. So this is just how simple representation of how neuron works. What if we actually stimulated that neuron? What if we applied electric current to that neuron and try to change that voltage which is there inside and outside? So what if we do that? Then we might be able to make those neurons fire at our own will, and people have done that already, and in many labs you can see that. But that is done with individual neurons or groups of neurons, few neurons in a petri dish. But we cannot do that with humans, because we cannot connect to all 10 billion neurons that we have in our brain. So what we can do is we can stimulate groups of neurons or groups of places that might help, might change. So we can stimulate groups of neurons, and that might improve the probability of their firing or reduce probability of their firing. So what does that mean? Like, what is probability, increasing probability or decreasing probability mean in physical sense? Is let's say my body wants to, or I want to move my finger, but I'm not able to generate certain potential difference so as to my finger will move. So if I have this assistance of electrical stimulation from outside my body, which will reduce that threshold level, so that it will be easier for me to generate that enough difference to move my finger. So that's in a nutshell what brain stimulation would be. So what I'm going to do next is just going to show you some demonstration with it. Will you help me with that?
Sure, yeah, we'll do it.
Thank you.
So Anant actually came to our lab and zapped Alberto's brain with some electricity. Right there. That's why he's wearing the hat.
Let's say this is the portion which allows us to move.
Another 7 minutes.
Yes. Oh, I missed that. Okay. This is the portion we want to move my finger. So this is the portion which I want to stimulate. Then will you come again? Sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
I just brought everything. Just wanted to.
Oh
show
yeah.
you.
No, this is great.
Then what I would do is I'll find out that portion over the brain, and if you all know that there is a cross mark, that means that's the point which I want to stimulate. So what I'll do is I'll just put these one electrode over this portion and one electrode somewhere else as a reference, and I'll pass some electric current, and I'll be able to stimulate those portions. And what we have seen in our experiments is that we are able to improve the performance in certain tasks. So we did it for dexterity, hand dexterity, but I think I'll talk more about it later. But I'll just say shortly that we can use it for depression studies or stroke rehabilitation, Parkinson's, tremors, and we are also using it for understanding brain plasticity and improving. For people are using it for reducing chronic pain and improving the performance in athletes. But these are in the research phase, but soon, maybe I hope in 10 years, we will see FDA approved and maybe used as a therapeutically. Thank you.
Thank you.